in problem 4.7, Emily Sanford is examining the previous year's sales numbers and is wondering, well, what if she extends her sales a bit? In other words, try to sell a little bit more, and this way increase the sales by 20%. What will happen to her profit? So in that regard, as we take a look at the current year's income statement, we see the traditional format here in the sense that we have sales less the cost of the jewelry, which gives us the gross margin as opposed to the contribution margin. And then we have the different operating expenses, including the salary that she's paying her assistant, the registration fee, and then the booth rental. Now, what Emily posits is that if she increases sales 20%, so the goal is increase sales 20%, what will be the increase in profit? So there are a few ways that we can do this. We can take the 20%, multiply that by the 21,000 and add the 21,000. So we have our new sales number of 25,200. Similarly, we could increase the cost of goods sold. If you're selling 20% more jewelry, that number will increase by the corresponding rate. So 20% times 11,550 plus 11,550, meaning that the gross margin then increases to 11,340. Now, as we look at that number, we can see that this 11,340, subtract 9,450, and then divide by 9,450, also is a 20% increase, which is what you would expect to see what happens there. So we increase the sales by 20%. What will be the overall effect? Well, in her initial prognostication, she thought sales that the before tax profit would increase to 71.29. But what happens here? Well, if the registration fee is considered here, it's like if she increases that by 20%, then you would see that the entirety of column D would be all changed to 20%. But the registration fee itself won't change. She just happens to sell more. So this is going to not change because this is a fixed cost. Similarly, her assistant's pay is a fixed cost as well, unless she, in the problem, it's not indicating that she was going to be, that this was a percentage of sales at all or not. So both of these are fixed costs. So only the booth rental of the operating expenses will also increase to 20%, or in other words, we would take 6% of the 25,200, so that we see that this is a different number here. So what actually happens is that her profit will be 11,340 minus the sum of these operating expenses, which will be 75.78. So as it turns out, she thinks, Emily thought it was going to be profit would increase to 71.29, but she was ignoring that fixed cost wouldn't change. Now, this is probably a happier situation for her that the before tax profit would end up being 75.78 instead of 71.29. But keep in mind, if the sales number were reduced from 21,000, these would be costs that she wouldn't be able to get rid of either. The registration fee and the salary would be costs that she would still have to account for. And so her profit would fall. She wouldn't be able to have cost savings from the booth rental or lower cost of goods sold. So it is double-edged in that regard. But again, it's important that increasing the sales number 20% will increase the variable costs, both the cost of the jewelry as well as the booth rental, but not the fixed costs.